right, so today we are back. We're talking about decimals, and specifically subtracting decimals. We talked about adding decimals yesterday. We're gonna subtract them today. So let's get started. So again, we're gonna start with our place value chart. Always start with the place value chart, only because it allows us to see and visualize what's happening with the numbers, which makes it a little bit easier once we get down to the nitty gritty and are just doing the problems without the visuals. But always remember, you can always use these visuals, and I think visuals are really important in math. It's a really important strategy to learn, especially when we have word problems trying to process and work through it, because we all want to become better mathematicians. So here we go. Here's our first problem. So we have 7 ones and 5 thousandths, take away 2 ones and 3 thousandths. So there's our problem. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this problem right off the bat so I can kind of visualize this. So I know that 5 is in the thousandths place, so I need to put zeros in there to maintain it, right? And then we have the 2 ones and 3 thousandths. So simple enough, and I can set that up over here. Remember, we always line up our decimal, but again, having it in the place value chart, we don't make that mistake. It's a common mistake that happens in adding and subtracting decimals, and when we use the place value chart, it won't happen, or it's very unlikely it'll happen if you put them in the correct spot. So we have 7 ones, right, and we're taking away 2 ones. Right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to make discs. I'm not even going to draw my numbers. I'm just going to show you one technique. And this is 7 of them, right? So there's 7, and I'm taking away 2 ones, right? So I'm just looking in the ones place, right? In the ones place only. So I'm going to take away 2 ones. And if I bring those down, what do I have left? I have 5 ones, okay? So I have 5. Now, how many ones did or how many thousandths did I start with? I didn't have any tenths, any hundredths, but I had 5 thousandths, right? So I had 5 thousandths, and I'm taking away, here's the thousandths place, I'm taking away 3 thousandths. So boom, boom, boom. So I'm left with 2, right? And now we bring down our decimal, and we can see that we just subtracted. When we do subtraction, we have our starting number, and we're taking away from that starting number. We're removing part of it, right? So in this case, we have our starting number represented by these discs, and then we took away 2 and took away 3, and we are left with this number. Okay, so when we do the math pretty easily, we can just bring it down, and you can start to see, like, as long as you line these up, the math and showing it as an equation is just much easier. But this visual kind of gives you the idea of what's happening, what is going on. We're taking away from this bigger number. Let's try another one. So 83 tenths, and we're taking away 6 4/10. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite 83 tenths. What is 83 tenths? 83 tenths is 8.3, right? So 8.3 take away 6.4. And then I'm going to just draw it. I'm going to visualize it, and I'm just going to draw it. So let's do that. First, we have 8, right? 8 in the ones place. Because remember before I go on, this is the number we start with, and we're removing the 6 4/10. Okay, so we have 8 starting. Okay, and we have 3 in the tenths place. Right. So now here's where some weird stuff happens, and this is what I want you to start to see. We have 8 here, right? And we're going to take away 6. We could do that. We can take away 6 really easily. So let's take away 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're left with 2. Now, most of us would think, okay, that's great. But what happens when we need to take away 4 on this side? We can't. Right? We can't. So what we need to do is we need to borrow. And I'm going to show you that in the addition. We need to borrow one of these. We need to borrow from the ones. But this isn't as simple as just borrowing one of them. What happens when we move it over is we actually borrow 10. Because remember, if we remember the power of tens, each time we move over, we're multiplying by 10. So now we have 1, we multiply by 10. What is that? 1 times 10 is 10. So when we move it over in the tens place, same way that we did meters, right? Remember going from a meter to a decimeter or a centimeter, it gets bigger by powers of 10, right? So in this case, we're going to add 10 dots, and then we can take away that 4 that we were doing, right? And so we are left with, this one is now gone because we borrowed it and it's over here, and so we're left with 1 and 9 tenths. Okay, if you count these up, right? There's 9 here because we took away 1. Okay, so now seeing that, let's do the math, because this is what I want to show you. This is important, especially with the word problems we're going to see in the quiz that we're going to take. This is going to be important. So what is happening? Okay, well, when we subtract and we borrow, that's all that's happening. So this turns into a 7, right? If we got rid of that one, how many do we have left? This is really cool. This is why this visual is cool. We would have 7, right? So, and then we borrow the 1 and we add 13, right? Because this comes over here. And count how many we would have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There it is. We take away 4. There's 9. Bring down the decimal. 7. Take away 6 is 1. We have the exact same number. Except now we have a whole nother way to do it with visuals. So if that helps you, and that helps you better understand subtracting decimals, that's awesome. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. That's what I want you to understand. So good luck with that, and hopefully you have a better grasp as to how you subtract decimal fractions.